Thanks for joining us for this poetry series called There's Still Time with John Lee.
So this is going to be a little offering that I'm going to do hopefully once a week. It's more for me probably than it is for you. For years I was privileged and honored to be working with my dear poet friend Robert Bly, and I wrote hundreds of poems, and then I sort of kind of let it drop and stayed more focused on my nonfiction and my novel. So I thought by reading some of my poems it would inspire me to get back to work on a book of poetry. So I hope you like this, and then next week you'll get a couple more. For those of you that don't like poetry too much, don't worry, I write short ones for the most part. Part of that's due to my attention deficit disorder, and the other part is due to my deep laziness. Now, this is a little poem I wrote after not seeing my father for 10 years. We didn't talk, we didn't see each other after my second book, The Flying Boy, came out. And so I wanted to go over and see how, if we could relate to one another after all this time. And so it turned out pretty good, and I wrote this poem. It's called Thunderstorm in Mentone. The wind is different tonight. The leaves on the trees move easily. Summer rain cleans the horses grazing the wet grass in the pasture across the road. I saw lightning for the first time in months. It looked like a ragged tuning fork, and I felt the thunder roll through my body. Today, in a house 100 miles away, I saw my father for the first time in 10 years. He sat beside me with his bare shoulder against mine as we looked at a map. Years ago, I would have wanted so much more to happen, and then felt a disappointment. But this meeting moved easily. A part of me, you know that part that always wants more? It finally felt cleaned. The lightning comes down in straight lines and then separates into its tines. A father and a son and tuning forks are like that too. We talked about mileage. Then he said, "Let me show you the peas I've grown in my garden." This is the most affection I'm ever going to get, I thought. Today, this amount of affection was finally enough. This is a little poem I wrote years ago after a little trip to Santa Fe with the woman that I write about in Flying Boy 2 or Flying Boy 22. I can't really remember for sure. She's called Lucy in that book, and she inspired this. It's called Ancient Paths. Geese know the ancient path their parents laid out for them in the sky. When horses are born, the first thing they do is walk, even if their legs are like water. Animals seem to know what to do when it's time. I remember the first time a woman said to me, "Let me hold you." This is a path I could not remember. I turned and twisted my body like a colt leaving the birth canal before I finally fell into the deep grass of her arms. I lay there on my left arm until it went sound asleep. Unlike the newborn, for just a few moments, I didn't care if I ever stood on my own 2 feet again.